Hey guys, it's Rush. Hope we're doing well. Welcome back to the channel. This video today, I will be covering some of the hacks that I've done to the Victrix BFG. Now, this is the PC version and it is the reloaded version. So the reason this differs is the 6-button 5-pad module, the buttons sit higher, and this pad has 1000 Hertz polling. The console version does not poll to that rate. At the moment, when you update the firmware, it's stuck at those default polling rate levels. So I'm going to go over quickly the things that I've done to this pad, and there's something in particular regarding the touchpad that you'll probably want to do to this controller, but I'll explain a little later in the video. So on this pad, I've changed the D-pad. This is a Sega Saturn style D-pad, and I've glued the D-pad on top of the original or one of the stock Victrix D-pads. So that can pop out if I do that. Comes out, you can see it's not great on the camera, but I actually glued it on top. So that's the first mod. Second mod that I've done, it's not really a mod, but I've took the analog stick off because that gets in the way for fighting games. I have switched these buttons around. So this, I believe, is options, and that is what would be start. In the software, you can swap them around. And the reason I've done that, so that is now start, is this being options for certain fighting games, Street Fighter 6 and City of the Wolves, you can map options as a button. So what I've done is I've turned this into an actual button by gluing a button down on top of the, well, what is now the options button. So this button is from the, I think it's the 8-bit DO M30 controller. I sanded down the button, sanded down the back of this actual button, the actual, like the circular button. And then I've used epoxy glue to stick it together. I've done this on another controller and it hasn't popped off. And so far, this is very secure. So that gives me 7 face buttons. So that's the other mod. On the back, I've taped over these toggles because the toggles, when you knock them, restrict the movement of the triggers. Now, I don't want to be changing the trigger configuration whilst I'm in a match. Now, some people have said they don't have this issue. For me, I do have this issue. I accidentally knocked them, and then that shortens the length, the travel of the trigger. So I wanted to stay at the settings that I've set, and that's where I'm happy. So I've taped that over so I don't press them by mistake. And the last thing, and this is the most important thing within this video, is when you buy the Victrix BFG PC version, this touchpad will act as the mouse on your PC, and there's no way to disable this by itself via the software. There is the tournament mode settings. So with tournament mode, I forget the configuration. I think you hold this one, that button there, and you hold this one, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but that will disable the touchpad and these 3 buttons. Now, for me, who is a content creator, a streamer, if I'm playing sessions off stream in fighting games, I want to be able to use my start, my options button. I do not want to use a touchpad. And what happens is, in Street Fighter 6 specifically and City of the Wolves, when you're playing, if you press any of these buttons that are near the touchpad and you just touch it, it will activate the mouse. And what will happen is, when you activate the mouse, it will not disconnect you, but the actual controller stops functioning in the game because the mouse has become active and you're no longer within the application. It's taken you out of the application. So when you're pressing buttons, your PC doesn't know what you're trying to press buttons for, which application you're in, and it causes a lot of problems. So you want to disable this. And I'm going to call it a hack. I found a way to disable this in Windows. So I'll show you that as well in this video. So now the controller is plugged into my PC and I've loaded the Victrix Control Hub app. If I go to configure here, this is where you do your mappings. So as mentioned, if I go down to, I think it's called menu, I call it start, but go to menu button. You can change menu to what is the view button. I call this options, but that will switch them round. So you can see that this is now the menu button that can't be mapped as a button in Street Fighter 6 and in City of the Wolves. But this button, this view button, can be mapped in the controller scheme in those 2 games, enabling me to have a 7th button. So that's how I've done that. And it's really nice that you can do that in the software rather than having to rely on the Steam settings, because the thing with remapping things in Steam is, whilst that's good for your local PC, if you go somewhere else, it will not retain those settings. Whereas if you set via the software, the button configuration, that configuration will carry across to all devices that you play on. But as mentioned, if you go to the original button settings, in this drop down, there is not an option for the touchpad. So you cannot click on the touchpad and then set that to none. There's no option to do that, which is frustrating. So for you to disable just the touchpad, what I've thought about was, if you go to Device Manager, my keyboard is upside down, so I'm struggling to find it. There you go. Device Manager. And if you come down to Mice and Other Pointing Devices, here is where the controller is being picked up as a mouse on the PC. So I've got two mice disabled already. So this is the mouse that I'm using. But this one of them, I don't actually know what it is. I don't know what device is being picked up as a mouse, but the third one is the controller. So if I disconnect the pad now, you'll see that drop down to two devices. There we go. So that's what it's picking up. So I'm going to plug it back in. That will change now to 3. And then I'm going to right click Properties, and I'm going to go to, I think it's Driver, and Enable Device. Now you will see, look at that, both of my hands. I do not have 3 hands, I have 2 hands. My feet are firmly on the floor. That will act as the mouse. So this is what's happening in game that's disconnecting me from the game when I just briefly touch. You can actually click as well, which is great. It's pretty good, it's a good feature, but I don't want this. You can actually click on things as well. So touching this pad is very annoying when it comes to actually playing games. So what you want to do is you want to right click. Once you've established which one it is, Properties, and then Disable Device. That will not disable the entire device. It will only disable the touchpad. So you can see now it's no longer doing anything. So that's what you will likely need to do. I think it's pretty poor that you can't disable it from the software. I did reach out to Turtle Beach and Victrix about this. They didn't respond on Twitter, which again is a little disappointing, but that is a nice little hack you can use. And now I'm able to use this pad freely, no issues at all. I'm very, very happy with this controller. So that last one is very important. The other ones, the other mods and tips and tricks, it depends on what you want out of the pad. You may not want to go to the extreme that I've gone through when it comes to configuring this pad. But that's the video, guys. I hope that helps for anyone that has a Victrix PC controller. Any questions or any queries, always give me a shout, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.